It is the first full book on the war chapters that's been published that isn't like just analyzing military strategy. So my name's Joseph Spencer. I'm a professor of ancient scripture here at BYU, trained in philosophy, but I teach scripture. And I was the editor of this book. It's not a sole authored book. We have a little institution in ancient scripture called the Book of Mormon Academy, and we gather faculty and work on aspects of the Book of Mormon, and this is one of those projects. I sort of herded the people together, and we put some thoughts together on this part of the text. So in general, the Book of Mormon Academy aims at just deepening our understanding of the Book of Mormon in general. This volume in particular looks at the so-called war chapters in the Book of Alma. There has been a good deal written about them over the years, but they tend to do one of two things. People tend to write about the possibility of a kind of spiritual application. Oh, are we in a spiritual war, and so on. Or people tend to write about just like warfare. What do we know about ancient warfare and culture and that kind of a thing? And part of what we wanted to do is just create a collection of essays that is much broader in its approach to those chapters. What else is going on here than just the two usual things people see? So our main purpose was just, can we broaden what we see in the war chapters themselves? I mean, anyone interested in the Book of Mormon, we would hope, would read this book. But it's maybe aimed most precisely at people with a college education who are hoping to deepen their understanding of the Book of Mormon. And maybe, especially because we're addressing the war chapters, those who may have questions, concerns about violence and war in an era when we have prophets calling for peacemaking. How do we respond rightly to times of conflict? We would hope it's good for anyone with those questions. So in the Book of Mormon Academy, we meet a few times a semester and talk through kind of where is Book of Mormon studies at, what topics have been addressed, what haven't been addressed, and we float possible topics for not just books, but projects. So we do this, we spent a year meeting every month, essentially, and talking through different passages in the war chapters. And so, yeah, as we began thinking, here's a topic that just has not received enough scholarly attention, and there's a kind of narrow approach. And so, but it was a really rich year as a result. The process of just reading these passages together, we were working on no more than 3 or 4 verses at a time. So we'd spend an hour and a half just working on a couple of verses and unpacking their implications. And it was just a robust experience, and I think just made us go, yeah, there's so much here that needs to be thought about. Emphasis on the word today, right? I think if this book is important for Latter-day Saints right here and right now, it's because we have had President Nelson, who we've sadly just lost, but we've had President Nelson calling on all of the saints to be peacemakers. And there are we live in very violent times, very seriously conflicted times. If there are ways to handle that rightly and to be real peacemakers, then hopefully this book does something to help make that happen. I think all through the essays, there are going to be moments that'll help someone go, oh, I see better how I ought to do this in my life, and then I'll feel closer to Christ. But at the broadest level, if there are obstacles or barriers for people reading the Book of Mormon, I get to the war chapters and I slow down or I stop reading. I get to the war chapters and I just feel like, why is this all here? How am I supposed to find God in this? Then I hope, if nothing else, this opens a space within which someone can say, wow, even there, where it feels like God is left and the Nephites are just dying on the battlefield and so on. No, even there, we can find Christ. The war chapters, as we call them, the last quarter of the Book of Alma, really, is so much richer, so much deeper, has so much more going on in it theologically, spiritually, devotionally than we've realized yet. And this book at least opens the door to seeing that.